So the mics are unmuted now, and I will hang up and give it a call.
I have to go tomorrow morning.
Go where?
I'm gonna eat this while the
It's
camera's not on
a
me.
false legacy thing.
Oh.
I guess I don't have to, but I'm on that committee.
Blue ribbon.
Hey, Mike, we are just getting ready to start the Urban Renewal Commission meeting, and I wanted to get you on the phone.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, we have not begun yet, so give us a minute here.
I don't see that. Blue ribbon sounded good to me.
And just 1 second.
Holding.
We're ready.
I call to order the July 17, 2019 meeting of the Urban Renewal Commission. And please call the roll.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Present.
Commissioner Dan Holliday,
Here.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Here.
Commissioner Rachel L. Smith, and Commissioner Steve Van Haverbeek are absent this evening.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any citizen comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to general business. Item 4A, 19-438, which refers to the settlement agreement between Mr. Williams, Mr. O'Brien, and the City of Oregon City, the Oregon City Urban Renewal Commission, and the Elections Officer for the City of Oregon City. Mr. Conkle.
Thank you. Evening, Commissioners. The proposed settlement tonight resolves certain elements of the litigation between Mr. Williams and Mr. O'Brien and the City of Oregon City, the Oregon City Urban Renewal Commission, and the Elections Officer for the City of Oregon City. The plaintiffs filed a complaint against the Elections Officer in the City of Oregon City and Clackamas County Circuit Court, to which the Oregon City Urban Renewal Commission intervened. The Clackamas County Circuit Court resolved the matter, and that resolution was appealed to the Oregon Court of Appeals and is known as the pre-election case. As part of the resolution of the pre-election case, the Clackamas County Circuit Court awarded the plaintiffs a general judgment and a portion of their attorney fees in the amount of $27,950, plus interest. The purpose of the settlement agreement is to settle fully and finally the pre-election case. The settlement agreement is not intended to and does not have any impact on Oregon Court of Appeals case number A167583, which is related to the Clackamas County Circuit Court decision concerning the preemption and the administrative versus legislative questions. The Court of Appeals dismissed the appeals brought by the governmental parties in the pre-election case on July 12th. Per the settlement agreement, Mr. Williams will dismiss his appeal in the pre-election case within 3 business days of final approval of the attached settlement agreement. In consideration for this settlement agreement, the governmental parties agreed to pay plaintiffs $40,747.50, which includes the total principal and interest on the Clackamas County Circuit Court decision through July 22nd, and an additional $10,000 for fees and costs. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Staff is recommending that the Urban Renewal Commission approve the proposed settlement agreement.
Questions or comments from my associates?
Move to approve the settlement agreement as listed here.
I actually am not quite ready to second. I'd like to ask a question if I may.
Please do.
I am curious if it could be sort of clarified for me, and I, again, don't mean to nitpick, but on one of the pages of the letter from the plaintiff's attorney, it alleged that the letter that we sent constituted a counteroffer and not an acceptance. So could you explain that?
Sure. Commissioner McGriff, we provided a letter to the attorney for the plaintiffs that accepted the counteroffer. In doing so, we put into that letter terms, basically the mechanism of how this settlement would occur, in terms of it's got to go to the Urban Renewal Commission and the City Commission for final acceptance, as well as clarifying what we thought was a understood point, that it would not affect the other case. The plaintiff's attorney has taken the position that that was not a counteroffer, was a counteroffer, not an acceptance. I would tend to disagree that it was a acceptance of the counteroffer because it didn't change the material terms. The appeals would be dismissed and there'd be a payment of the amount of the fees. You know, there can be a difference of opinion on that. I think it was valid acceptance of the counteroffer, and we could in fact sue to enforce that. You know, I don't think there's much point in having that dispute and discussion, but, you know, the question really is there explication of the, you know, one of the assumptions that it doesn't affect the other case, and explaining the mechanism of adoption, does that truly constitute changing the material terms, or is it just, you know, no change to the material terms?
I am actually pleased with Commissioner McGriff's question because I had the same concerns. It's not being a lawyer, but having taken business law, you know, there's offers, acceptances, there's counteroffers and what constitutes those. My main concern, and it's not a subject for tonight's discussion, but it's maybe has to do with how the desires and communications that we put through a lawyer are conveyed. And I want to be confident in those that they reflect our views entirely and are not deviated from. I'm also respectful that there are some legalese matters that need to be addressed that I'm obviously not aware of. But my main concern, and not for tonight's meeting, but maybe in an executive session at some point, is a discussion of when a commission gives its wishes and they're conveyed, are they conveyed in keeping with what the commission wishes and not, because the way I read this, and I don't want to get into an additional level of litigation, but quite honestly, Mr. Williams, as attorney, could choose not to accept the offer and we could go another round, and I don't want to do that. I just want to be done with it. So the key point is communications through attorneys and clarity thereof, wishes of the commission conveyed strictly in accordance with it, with respect to those legal matters that need to be dealt with. End of story.
Second.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, with that, I'll second the motion as well.
Okay, call the roll.
So were you seconding the motion? I just want to
The
be
original
clear.
motion,
Okay.
Yeah, I'll third it, you know, whatever.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
Commissioner Dan Holliday.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Chair Frank O'Donnell.
Aye. I would extend it, if you wish to make any comment, gentlemen, you're welcome, but if not, we're done here with that matter. Thank you.
No, done with that.
Sorry. Okay, with that matter. Item 4B is just the approval of the minutes of the May 29th, 2019 regular meeting.
I would so move.
Second.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff,
Aye.
Commissioner Dan Holliday.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Chair Frank O'Donnell.
Aye. All those matters being done, I believe we're ready for adjournment. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.